We just heard from the Maricopa County Recorder on election concerns. We now get a statewide view of the upcoming vote with Arizona Secretary of State, Michele Reagan. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. Your biggest concern out there. What are you worried about?
Well, right now we are testing all the ballot equipment in all 15 counties. Most people don't realize, and they're pleasantly surprised to hear when they find out that we test all the ballot equipment in every county before every election. So right now we are going around the state for the 4th time this year.
4th time. Okay. We keep hearing that the election is rigged, that somehow the election will be hacked, will be rigged, will be compromised in one way, shape, or form. How do you respond to that?
It'd be very hard to do, being that the election systems in the states are so decentralized. The election equipment in every county, they're not the same. They're on different systems. They're not hooked up to the internet. They're offline. We do paper checks, hand counts. There's a law in Arizona that some states don't have. We're very proud of this law. We hope we keep it. And that is that every vote has to have a paper audit trail with it. A very important law in Arizona most people don't realize we have. So even if you're ever using one of those touchscreen machines in the polling place, it's recording your vote on paper as well. So there's always a paper audit trail.
Kind of machine then.
Correct.
So when some folks say the online voter registration system in Arizona and America, everywhere, online voter registration, that can be and is being compromised.
You bring up an excellent distinction, and we would like to point this out. There's two very separate systems when we talk about voting. One is the registration system, and one is the tabulation system. Tabulation is what we are dealing with on Election Day, and that is, for the most part, offline, not hooked up to the internet. The registration system is what we deal with all throughout the year. That is online. That is a big database that everyone's tapping into. The state, MVD, all 15 counties. That was subject to an attempted breach in late June, early July. We did have a hacking incident in one of the county computers. It was very scary. And we, through I think a combination of some safety measures and a little bit of luck, we did get lucky there, and they weren't able to breach the database.
But that is a concern, I would imagine. That has to be addressed and looked at in the future.
It not only is a concern, it's something we're vigilant about every day, and that doesn't end on November 8th. And that's something that we're concerned with November 9th, 10th, and all through the year. And just to give you kind of an idea of how big that issue is and how serious the issue is, just last month in September, 192,000. So 192,000 times our own IT department had unwanted intrusions into our database, or excuse me, into our systems. So our Secretary of State system, just one 160-person department, had 192,000 pings that they didn't know where they were coming from. They determined that 11,000 of those were malicious, meaning that those were people that were setting out to do us harm.
Phishing.
So that's just in 1 month. And so if we think that this is something that we can stick our head in the sand and say, oh, we got lucky once, we're always going to be lucky. We're following protocol from the FBI, best practices from our State Department of Homeland Security. We're open to what needs to be done to keep people's information safe.
And I imagine it helps a little bit that it's not all completely, the vote itself is not all completely electronic like the registration is, correct? I mean, you do have that paper trail, as you mentioned. It is kind of like an ATM machine where, yeah, you can punch if you want, but there is a record on paper.
There is a record, and there's also human beings checking to make sure that the machines at the end of the night are tabulating correctly. So afterwards, after the machines go through and count the ballots, the county recorders are also doing hand counts to make sure the machines are counting correctly. So there's so many checks in the system on the tabulation side. So that's why it's really important that we separate those two systems, tabulation and registration. We're very, very comfortable and confident that the tabulation system is not able to be rigged, isn't able to be hacked. The registration system is a constant concern. I wouldn't be doing my job if I wasn't concerned about that day and night. And you know, we've already we saw it in June. Other states have already seen it. So
another question here real quickly regarding the vote. There's some concern regarding voter intimidation. I mean, everyone's got monitors. I know the parties both have monitors.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about what the parties are allowed to do with their monitors and what average Joe citizen can do just to sit out there and make sure there's no hanky-panky, as they say.
Well, we know that there's a lot of people that are interested in this election and wanting to see what's going on at the polls, and we actually welcome that. The more eyes and ears we have on the ground, and the better for everyone, as long as there isn't intimidation. So in order, if you want to be involved at the polls and you want to be outside or watching anything like that, you just need to get permission from your party county chairman. So the Democratic county chairman or the Republican Party chairman, you ask for permission to be one of their poll watchers, and then they in turn get permission from the county recorder. So whether it was Helen, who you just interviewed in Maricopa County, or one of the other 14 county recorders, and they will provide you with a letter that says that you're allowed to be there. And you know, we welcome people watching the polls, but we do ask that you have permission to do this.
And again, there's also, I think, a 75-foot bubble, is there not? I mean, those
Correct.
who are allowed inside the bubble get there, but if you're not getting all this...
if you don't have one of those letters, then you want to stay outside that 75-foot.
And once you're outside the 70-foot bubble, you can just yell and scream to your heart's content?
Well, we hope that people don't yell and scream. I do believe Arizonans are better than that.
Well, good.
I've been out the polls for years. I mean, as you have, I'm sure, but as a candidate, I've been out there for 15, 16 years, and I've never seen people yelling and screaming. So.
All right. Well, let's hope that continues.
Yes, let's hope.
Yes. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.